Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mrs. Almond, and welcome back to school and welcome to our very first assembly of the year. Now, things are very different at school and you must be feeling very different at the moment because it's been a long time since you've been at school and now you've come back. We've changed things and I know you're staying in your class bubbles and we're not having our proper assemblies. You're going to be watching me and other teachers and maybe even Pastor Simpson doing videos like this for assembly instead. So we'll still have stories and we'll still have things to talk about, but you'll be looking at them on the screen in your classrooms for a while instead, so that we're not mixing our bubbles together and we're keeping everybody safe from that virus so we don't get poorly. Now, starting back at school this year after such a long time off, we'll all be feeling very different. Some of us will be feeling excited. Some of us might be feeling worried. You might have lots of questions for your teachers or your mummies and daddies or any of the grown-ups that are looking after you, or to even ask your friends about what they've been doing all this time. So I want to start with our first assembly by reading you a story called School Time for Sammy. And it's about a little monkey who's starting school and is not too sure about it at first. And some of the feelings that Sammy has might be some of the feelings that you might have as well. So I'll read the story and then I'll give you some questions to think about with your grown-ups. I'll show you the pictures as we go along. While his brother and sister got ready for the first day of school, Sammy was busy playing. He climbed his favourite tree and he swung from branch to branch. Pushing books into his school bag, Fred looked up. "You're old enough to go to school this year, Sammy." "I don't want to go to school. I want to stay at home and play," replied Sammy. And there he is up in the tree, quite happy staying at home. "But school is fun and you'll learn all kinds of things," said Sophie. "I'm not going," said Sammy, dangling upside down and making a face. "I already know everything. I know how to climb the tallest trees and I can swing really fast. So there, catch me if you can." But Fred and Sophie didn't go after him. They didn't want to be late for school. So Sammy was left hanging upside down in his favourite tree. Sammy spent the morning playing, but he soon got bored without any playmates. "What's wrong, Sammy?" asked his mummy when she found him moping around. "Oh, there's nobody to play with," said Sammy grumpily. "Well, all your friends are at school," explained his mother. "Maybe you should go too." "No way," shouted Sammy, scrambling back up the tree. At last, Sophie and Fred returned home, chattering excitedly about their busy day. Sammy ran to greet them with an after-school snack. There's Sammy having a chat with his mummy. Sammy wanted Fred and Sophie to play with him, but they had homework to do. Sammy didn't want to be left out. "I can do homework," he said, climbing into a chair and joining them at the table. "How many days are there in April?" Fred asked Sophie. 2590 zillion, shouted Sammy, trying to help. "Oh, Sammy, don't be silly. We're trying to work," said Sophie with a sigh. And there they are, busy doing their homework. When Sammy's friend Jack came to visit, he was full of news about his new school. "The teacher's really nice and I've learned lots of important things," said Jack proudly. "I know what 2 + 1 + 2 is." "So do I," said Sammy, trying to count on his fingers. "What is it then?" asked Jack. It's a lot," he answered. "You don't know," exclaimed Jack. There they are chatting about their work and what Jack's been doing at school. "I even learned how to write my name," Jack continued. He picked up a stick. With his tongue clenched between his teeth, he carefully wrote J, A, K, K in the dirt. I can write my name too, look, said Sammy. And he scribbled. That's not writing. That's just scribbling, scoffed Jack. Poor Sammy. He felt very embarrassed. Now, Sammy was curious about school. What else did you do at school, Jack? He asked. Well, I made lots of new friends and we all played games together, said Jack. As Sammy listened, Jack told him everything that he had learned. His favourite part of the day was show and tell, when people could bring in special things and share them with the rest of the class. You really did do a lot, said Sammy with a sad sigh. Maybe Sammy's starting to change his mind about school. I'll paint you a picture of a tree if you want, offered Jack to cheer up his friend. That's another thing I learned how to do today. With his eyes open wide so he wouldn't miss anything, Sammy watched as Jack brushed paint over a piece of paper. That's the best picture in the whole world, said Sammy admiringly. After Jack left, Sammy tried to paint a tree himself, but his painting just looked like a messy blob without a teacher giving him instructions of what to do. There's Sammy trying his painting, and there you can see Jack's painting. He's had some help from the teacher. That night at dinner, Sammy was very quiet. He didn't even feel like eating. Nobody noticed though, because Sophie and Fred were chattering loudly about school. I got a gold star in my spelling test, bragged Sophie. I won a race at break time, said Fred proudly. Good job, both of you, said their mother and father. They are eating the dinner. I think Sammy's feeling a bit left out, not going to school. After dinner, Sammy decided that he wanted to be as smart as his brother and sister. Very quietly, he crept over to Sophie's school bag and took out a book. Sitting in a corner, he opened the book and he tried to read it. Well, it was no use. The words just looked like squiggles and wiggles to him. When Sophie and Fred found Sammy with the book, they read him a story. It was a thrilling tale about pirates. They're enjoying the books. The next morning, Sammy woke up very early. He was very excited as he searched for the little bag that his mother had made for him. When he found it, he put Effalump, his favourite toy, carefully inside. He wanted to have something for show and tell. Sammy marched into the kitchen and announced, I'm ready. I wonder what he's ready for. I bet you can guess. Sammy's family looked up in surprise. Ready for what? Asked his father. I want to go to school after all, declared Sammy. I want to learn how to read and write and count and to draw beautiful pictures. That's wonderful, said his mother. But first you'll need to have some breakfast. After breakfast, Sammy set off with Sophie and Fred, walking very quickly. I'm already a day late for school, said Sammy with a grin. I don't want to miss any more. And a big smile on his face as he skips off to school. And there we have it. Sammy is really looking forward to school. So there's lots that we should be excited about for school. So I want you to have a think now. Think how you feel about coming back to school. I know you've had one day, and this is probably your second day back at school. Think about how you feel about school. Sammy's excited now, so think about what were you excited about for coming back to school. But Sammy was also very worried, so there might be something that you were worried about. Have a think about that as well. And I think we all worry about things sometimes, me included, and we all need somebody to talk to about it. And I talk to the other teachers in school if I've got anything I'm worried about. And I know they talk to me. But you have a think, who can you talk to at school? Who can you talk to at home if you're worried? There's a few questions to think about. Have a chat with your teacher now and see what you can come up with. I'll see you soon. Bye.